Week 2 of the 2024 baseball season here on Extra Bases. Jason Bristol and Jeremy doing his typical pregame routine. That's Jeremy, his pregame routine. Did you see?
Loose.
What's that?
You got to get loose, Jason. You got to get loose.
Yes. Very interesting. The Sacramento Kings posting "Welcome to Sacramento, A's" or "Welcome A's." Jeremy, how do we explain what's happened with the Oakland A's? Because we are just on this merry-go-round with teams from the Bay Area, specifically Oakland.
This is really a simple situation, okay? The Oakland Athletics are not the first sports franchise to leave Oakland in the last 5 years, and probably the third now, right? The Warriors left, the Raiders left, and now these guys. To me, that says something about what's going on in Oakland. Now, if it was just the A's, and it's really easy to look at John Fisher and you're like, you know what, what's your issue, man? What's going on? That's not what the deal is. You got three franchises that have left. One admittedly across the bay into San Francisco, and the other one to Vegas. And this one's going to Vegas too. I don't quite understand the move to Sacramento for right now. I don't necessarily get that. I didn't see if the River Cats are going to go somewhere and play somewhere else. I didn't see that. I didn't catch any of that part of it.
That's a shame. We could possibly lose the River Cats, which are actually one of the better AAA franchises, but I say that in jest. Anyways.
Well, what could happen at all this, and this is just me thinking out loud, taking the extra base, if you will.
I like it.
Did you? Yeah, I just came up with it right now, but I thought it would work. So if you in Sacramento, and that can actually work, the A's might stay there because they're already in NorCal. They don't really lose their fan base. They're just out of Oakland, right? And Vegas just becomes an expansion market, which opens up the door for Nashville. The reason why the A's are moving, either Oakland's going to get another team, Sacramento, it's going to work there and they're going to get another team, or the A's are going to stay there. And then you got Vegas and Nashville for the other two. It takes you to 32 clubs. That's really why they're moving. And if the Oakland Athletics weren't able to work out a deal with the city, and the city didn't really want them, so be it. The city didn't really want them there. Otherwise, they help the stadium and they fix it. And the reality is some of the political reasons in Northern California that have zero to do with anything besides an argument over where the money is going to go are why these teams are leaving. So as an Oakland Athletic follower my entire life, as somebody who was in that clubhouse as a kid, as somebody who grew up around many of the superstar Oakland Athletics back in the day, as somebody who spent some time in the Bay Area and people who have friends in the organization now, it is not a fun moment for me. It is not a fun moment for the people there. I'm sure there's going to be some wistfulness of the people working for the organization, but ultimately the situation between John Fisher and Oakland was untenable, and they're moving. Now, going to Sacramento, I'd be willing to bet that they're going to turn around and have a pretty good attendance, better than they had in Oakland. And, of course, anything, frankly, is better than they had in Oakland. And the A's fans, guys, the A's fans, nothing against them, but if they wanted the team, they show up. They didn't show up. They didn't support it. They, five, 6 people a night? And I'm not trying to be cute when I say that. There was nobody there. City and John Fisher aside, if the A's fans in Oakland wanted the club there, the way they went about it didn't help because they're leaving. So there's other ways to go ahead and do it. There's other ways to make that work, and that's the way it was chosen. A's go to Sacramento. They moved from Philadelphia to Kansas City to Oakland to Sacramento to Vegas. I don't know if anybody's moved 5 times before. They're going to be the first, but that's what they're doing.
I love how John Fisher left without taking any questions.
The movie Moneyball had a genesis somewhere, and a lot of it had to do with the A's not spending money. And so that's how they felt back in 20 plus years ago. That's how they feel now. And they haven't done it. Now, what the A's did do is they have drafted well, and the players get to the big leagues and they trade them. But they haven't been good in a while. And it's kind of hard to look at Mark Kotsay and Eric Martins and Darren Bush and some of the guys that are over there that are coaches and think that they're bad coaches and bad managers. This is just they just haven't had the horses over there to do anything. And it is what it is. And, it took a long time to get here, but they're here.
Hey, Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie's in the background doing his thing.
You want to take care of Bernie?
Nah, he's good.
So, looking at the attendance numbers last year, according to Ballpark Digest, Sacramento finished 32nd, 3-2 among all minor league teams, 388,000 fans. That's roughly 4,900 a game, which actually may beat the Oakland crowds, sadly.
It's probably neck and neck. You know, if that's if
Neck
that's
and neck.
if that's the case, they're going to Sacramento to a place where they're not losing anything. And honestly, the fans of Sacramento probably come out and support it. New
Yeah.
big league team, new in town, different than the AAA club. You got to wonder where the AAA club's going to go. I mean, they can't play baseball there 162 days in a row, can they?
I don't think so. Hey, I just noticed your new photo on top of your X page, but maybe it's been like that.
What, the one of us, you and me? It's
Yeah.
like
When did
that
you
for a
put that
year.
up?
It's like that for a year, Jason.
Seriously?
Yeah, yeah. That's you. That's you and me.
Yeah.
We're doing our thing. I've got my
Ink.
well, I was just
Your
saying
guns.
my patent. Yes, there's that. There's the patented pose. This is just kind of my thing here. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway,
So what kind
um,
of reaction on Sports Extra on Sunday night, this past Sunday night, you and me and Matt Musel, who congratulations, Matt, 43 years at KHOU 11 and retired this past Wednesday. And then Zach Tawatari, we broke down the Astros lineup. You had Pena in the 2-hole, you moved Yordan down, and you were tweeting about it, posting on X about it. And how did it go, Jeremy? In your mind, how did it go?
I'm still right. So I mean, it doesn't. Just because somebody has a different opinion doesn't make them a bad human being. How you go
No,
about it makes you a bad human being. Or a good human being. What I
I
will
would
say,
actually say one of these people, it was actually a nice back and forth,
yeah, I mean,
relatively saying.
you like to have conversations like that. I'll say it this way: the 5 or 6 extra at bats over hitting third, and the 8 or 9 at bats over hitting fourth to put in leverage situations with guys around and produce runs. Man, I'd rather have those 10 at bats matter than 18 with nobody on base. Like I don't want to do that. And for me, maybe call me crazy, but at some point you got to bat in a run. So I'm just gonna take this back to those of you that may not understand what it means to bat in a run. A while ago, we used to have a statistic, and this statistic used to make a lot of sense to a lot of people when it came to pressure and being calm in situations and pitch selection and putting pitchers in cripple counts, which in baseball just means they don't have their full functionality. It's nothing else. It just means they can't fully function. So they call them ambush situations, right? Because hitters can look for a pitch or limited or traffic or any number of things we want to use to talk about a weakened state of fully functioning pitching. And we have somehow decided that I'm going to take that back. The rest of y'all somehow have decided, because I'm not including myself in that, okay, that you would rather have the best left-hand hitter and run producer in baseball, possibly, hit with nobody on base? Make that make sense. Help me understand why you'd want to take Jose Altuve and a Jeremy Pena who has produced in the 2-hole and an Alex Bregman and Yordan Alvarez and mess all that up. You want to go Altuve 1, you want to go Alvarez 2. Okay, I can buy that if 8 and 9 are automatic. Like we're going to go ahead, we're going to get Knox. That's not happening here. 8 and 9 in my lineup, and the one we constructed, the one that I keep posting on Twitter, Chas McCormick is a power guy who can play defense, who is going to swing and miss, but he's going to give you a long at bat most of the time, and he's a turn the lineup guy. That's why he hits 8. If he hits 15, 16 in that spot, he hit 18 last year, right? Something like that, 20 last year. whatever he does in that position is great, but he's going to turn the lineup over with a long at bat, which means your 9 hitter either has to be able to finish the inning and keep it moving, and it doesn't matter if he's an out, or he's somebody that can restart it the next time through. And if you get to the 9 hitter with an 8 hitter like McCormick, if you get to the 9 hitter in that inning, the 9 hitter is going to hit, and then you start with Altuve again anyway. You don't want to be in a situation where Yordan Alvarez is leading off or hitting with nobody or one man on base. You want to avoid that as little as possible, because the rest of the league will sink it and cut it and dart it and roll it around in a circle and flip it and do anything they can do to make sure that he stays in the ballpark. It's called single-itis. You want to go ahead and limit a power hitter and a guy that isn't a foot speed guy, it's single-itis, because he doesn't do you any good on first base. You know how I know that? Because every guy that's ever been built like this, and I'm right here, every guy that's been built like this doesn't steal bases for a living. It doesn't work out that way. The only guy that was even close to that size-wise, I'm certainly not saying physically because this was enhanced, was Jose Alabaster Canseco. And he was a 40-40 guy, and he had a lot of help. He even wrote a book about it. He wrote a book about that help, okay? And when Jose Canseco was on first base or second base, he was a threat. He was a base stealing threat. Find me any more 6'6", 270-pound base stealers. I'll wait. Yep, I'm fresh out too. Nobody else, just him. So why would you take Yordan Alvarez and hit him in the number 2 slot in the order? Hit him third, got me. Hit him fourth, fine. You don't hit him second, because you got to have somebody else on base. And if you have the weapons in this lineup, which you have, to hit 1 and 2 to get guys on base, then you want to hit him third at the earliest. Here's my soapbox. Here's me getting off it.
How much, we always talk about comfort. A guy is comfortable or has a routine. How much of that, in your mind, your experience, I imagine the playing career you had, you probably batted anywhere from 3rd to 7? That be about right, you think, in your professional career?
I hit 9th once.
Okay.
But yes, 3 to 6 was mostly the range.
Yeah. Okay. How much of that is, when you talk about comfort, do you think Yordan Alvarez hitting 3rd or 4th would like to get another guy in front of him just to get a good look at that pitcher?
So that's the point. So I did not want to hit 3rd. I hit 3rd plenty as an amateur in college and all that. And in pro ball, I might have hit there a couple times. I wanted to see how they pitched the 3-hole guy. I wanted to watch what happened. I wanted to see how the inning developed for what I had to do to get my mind ready to produce, because as a non-runner, and let's be very clear about this. When I say a non-runner, I mean a non-runner. On a scale of 2 to 8, I was a -4 foot speed wise. I couldn't run at all, and I mean at all, right? It was a station to station, scoring a base hit, but I was not going to steal any bases, and I mean that literally, like no bases, okay? So when you turn around and you've got a guy like built like me that can drive the baseball, that's probably going to swing and miss a little bit, but has some decent contact rates and produces, you go ahead and you put that guy in a place to do damage. In order to do that, you got to create situations where he's going to get pitches to hit to get damage, because a ground ball to second doesn't do a whole lot unless there's a man on third and less than 2 outs. You need to make sure that you're doing that. So in order to see that, you had to get your mind right. You had to see the pitcher go through enough hitters to understand what he had that day. You had to see how he pitched the guy ahead of you. And you had to get yourself in a situation where, at least if you let off an inning, hit with nobody on base, it wasn't an immediate pressure count situation. You had the ability to understand how his approach was. If you take that away from that guy like Yordan Alvarez, man, he's up second. That's great. But he's got pitching Altuve and pitching him. And as much as Jose Altuve is a Hall of Famer one day because he's going to get to 3,000 hits, and as much as that guy's been a winner, I'm pitching him and Yordan Alvarez entirely different. And I mean entirely different. So you don't have the ability to get this guy in an ambush situation where he can hit by doing that, because you're taking away his comfort zone.
But the analytics people, they don't look at it that way.
They have to look at it that way.
No, I'm just saying that's why they automatically say, of course. I mean, you're going to get him more opportunities, 18 more opportunities to hit in the number 2 hole. Not only are you saying that, listen, 18 opportunities with no one on base, okay, that's great. But then also from a perspective of the player, he's not getting those extra looks, that one extra look, or is being pitched differently in the 2-hole. And then in the 3-hole, he would be able to basically observe another hitter, another 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pitches before he steps to the plate to be like, okay, all right, I see what this guy's got. Now, yes, I know there's video and I know people look at it, but it's still different, right? I mean, it's still different when you're out there than when you're looking at a screen. I mean, we went through this during the playoffs in Atlanta when it was this idea that, hey, I mean, the guys can hit in the cage during the World Series when it was raining. And your whole point was, no, yeah, you can hit in the cage, but it's not the same as having BP on the field and seeing the backdrop, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
It's all fun and games when you put this thing in a lab and you say this is going to work because the numbers say this guy gets this more plate appearance. It doesn't mean the plate appearances are guaranteed, and it doesn't mean that what he does is guaranteed. The only way that would matter is if you told me he had 18 home runs or 18 doubles or some kind of way that makes sense. I'm using 18 because the guy that I was talking to, going back and forth on Twitter, that was the number he put out there, was 18 more at bats, right? Unless you're going to guarantee me production, I just would take less at bats with better leverage. I want more situations with run production opportunities. If he goes 5 for 10, or 5 for 12, let's say 5 for 12, and he gets 6 less at bats in the third spot in the lineup, or 7 less at bats, and he's 3 for 9. But out of the 9 at bats, I've got a double, I've got a homer, I've got 4 RBIs, and whatever I've got, then that's a productive 9 ABs. It's 333 with that. Now, if I get my 18 at bats in the 2 spot, and I'm 6 for 18, and I've got 4 singles, a home run, and a double, or 2, 2, and 2, whatever it is, and they're all solo home runs, or I'm still got my 3 RBIs, but I got 18 more shots at it. I'd rather have situations and they're all solo. Give me a situation with guys on base because more can happen. The biggest mistake we make in baseball is thinking that things are automatic. If you've ever played this thing at any kind of ridiculously talented level, and I'm going to say this again because it doesn't matter how long we do this. Major League Baseball has been around since what, 1850? I mean, I don't remember. It's been a long time. Okay, 1870, something like that. There's been roughly 13 billion people on planet Earth in that time. There's been 20,000 major league players. I want everybody to sink that in. That's it. 20,000 big league players. There's been roughly 750 to 800,000, roughly, give or take at this point, professional guys at any level. That includes Class A or Class C and all the stuff they did back in the day with, everybody that's ever been paid to do it. Independent, affiliate, whatever they barnstorming, anybody's ever, that's what you got. It is incredibly difficult to do. It just is. It's incredibly difficult to do. And to act like you can sit in a lab and dictate what happens, bruh, it is impossible to understand unless you've got some kind of feel about it. And if you have any kind of feel, unless you stood in a box, I don't know what it's like to be Jose Canseco. I don't know what it's like to be Ricky Henderson. I have no idea what it's like to be in those type of environments, to be that type of player. I can watch it. I can analyze it. I can kind of say what they should be. Jason, you can do the same thing. Been around it forever. To be Yordan Alvarez, stop telling me what Yordan Alvarez should be and where he should hit. Ask that guy what he should be and where he should hit. The only thing we know for sure about Yordan Alvarez is he has no business in left field. That's all we know for sure. And that's not even an ability thing because he's better out there than you think. That's a health issue. There's no reason with his body, the way it's been breaking down recently over the last couple of years, playing on his feet every day. But the man can hit. And if the man can hit, ask him what it means to face guys like Marcus Stroman. Ask him what it means to face guys like Patrick Sandoval. Ask him what it means to face guys like Max Scherzer, who maybe isn't a great example today, but certainly was a couple years ago. Ask him what it means to face Jordan Montgomery. And when he tells you what the answer is, listen. And if you don't do that, you're kind of missing out. Now, he's going to tell you, I'll hit second, coach. I'll hit everywhere you want me to hit me, Skip. You want to put me in the second 2 spot? Good, let's go. That don't mean he wants to do it. And what we saw last night was somebody coming out of their shell, finally, coming out of some kind of a slump, and had how many times he hit with nobody on base? He had 2 home runs, right? He had
Two home
nobody on
runs.
base 4 times and somebody on base once, and that was Altuve. Just the way you draw it up for the guy that's going to hit 2 bombs and go 4 for 4, right?
And we're not even factoring in this. A pitcher facing Yordan Alvarez, a little more stress when there's 2 guys on or 3 guys on.
That's why guys are hitting 8 and 9, is because they don't get on as much,
Yep.
right? So if you're going to go ahead and hit him too, you've taken away the offer. I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
Now, if you're Mike Trout with the Angels, I kind of get it, because of who's behind you, because of what's really going to be ahead of you, regardless. We're hitting the lineup. I mean, was that stat we saw? Anthony Rendon hasn't had a hit since George Bush was president. So
I don't think it was that long.
Oh,
It might have been. It might have been Obama.
Obama. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was somebody, but whatever. It's been a minute since
That is such a
Rendon had hit.
bizarre deal times 50.
But if you're Mike Trout and that's what you're playing, and great. If you're the Dodgers and you have a 1 through 9 that's loaded, great. But if you're in a situation where that's all you got, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
You mentioned the big men running. How many stolen bases did you have in your professional career?
0.
Nope. That is incorrect.
1.
You have one. You didn't know this?
I never stole a base. That's a misprint.
It says here that you have a stolen base from your time in
It probably says Tri-City, right?
Tri-City.
Yeah, I don't have a stolen base. I think I
Well,
was
you do according to Baseball Reference.
But I got 1. Okay, I was a back end of a double steal. I remember that, and I don't think I shouldn't have had a stole. Maybe they gave it to me. I don't know. I was like, I didn't steal this base.
Then you went 8 years to the end of your career without a stolen base. Wow. Should we contact Baseball Reference?
I mean, some of us are gifted with certain things, and some of us, foot speed was not something I was given.
I think I can tell this story. We were over at the Sugarland Space Cowboys opening night, home opener at Constellation Field. And just this, you'll appreciate this, and we'll wrap up with this. This is kind of shows you how bizarre baseball can be. So Mike Orta, our photojournalist here at KHOU 11, who we work with, we walked back out to our car to grab some more gear after being inside the stadium for a bit. And all of a sudden, this man in an orange Astros shirt, excuse me, sir, excuse me, because he saw that I had a microphone. Are you broadcasting the game tonight? I said, no, I'm not. He goes, geez, there's just some biographical information that's wrong with my son, and he's starting tonight. And I said, oh, wow. Okay, well, maybe I can help you. Who's your son? Well, he's tonight's starting pitcher, and his name is Ryan Gusto. Now, fast forward, check that. Rewind to when we were at spring training. Yep. Okay? We're at spring training, not me and you, but Mike and I. We're out on a backfield looking for Bryce Matthews, the Astros' #1 draft pick.
Yep.
So we find him. He's on this backfield with a number of prospects that were brought in early. So we're setting up the camera, and we are hearing this dude on the mound just bring it. And he's breaking off these breaking balls. And, I mean, he was throwing hard. And we looked up, and on the back of the jersey, the name was Gusto. And I'm thinking, wow, like, that's a pretty cool name. Hey, Mike, why don't you just get some video of that guy? Just so we have it.
Right.
So we start to walk out of that facility, that field, and we run into a member of the Astros front office. And we said, hey, so-and-so, who's that guy? And it wasn't Bernie. So it was really interesting because that high-ranking Astros official then said to us, man, I got to find out myself. I'm going over to ask who that is. So to think that random situation on a backfield in West Palm Beach. And then months later, we're in the parking lot at Constellation Field. And that, of all the players that we saw, that guy's father comes up to us. Basically, the situation is this. The Astros, or whoever did his biography, has the place of birth wrong. So Ryan Gusto is listed as being born in Charlotte, North Carolina. He grew up in Charlotte, but he wasn't born there. And basically, Dad was saying, hey, I was hoping to have somebody fix this. And I said, well, I could probably help you with that. And then he told me the name, and I was like, are you kidding me? I know that name because we saw him in spring training, and we were like, whoa, who's that guy? Talk about just the randomness of this beautiful game that we love. I mean, it's crazy to me how stuff like that happens. It could have been any. It could have been any Sugarland Space Cowboys pitcher, but instead it was that guy's father.
First of all, I like the word "that guy," so that's good. Let's use that guy. Gusto is now that guy whenever we see him. But you know what? Baseball is a small world, man. It's a small world. It's a small game, and we all run into each other a lot. And that's really ironic that you're at the complex and you get a video of somebody bringing it. Who, by the way, is last name Gusto. Okay, and he turns around and he's open night starter at Space Cowboys. It's pretty good.
And he actually got some time with the big league squad. Struck out Pete Alonso during one of the Grapefruit League games. 25 years old, pitched really well the first inning, struck out 2, and then the game ended up being 12-11. Unfortunately, he gave up six runs, all earned in that second inning. But that's part of pitching in the Pacific Coast League. Now, granted, Sugarland is actually more of a pitcher's ballpark compared to the other stops, as most of us and most of you listening know, your Albuquerques and your other places. But I don't know. I just found that really, really interesting. So I did reach out to the Astros and, a little bit behind the scenes there, and we'll see where Ryan Gusto's career ultimately ends up. Maybe it will be Minute Maid Park. We'll find out. All right, Jeremy, we're running out of time. We did get a second podcast done, which is excellent. So we're now 2 for 2 when it comes to a weekly podcast. Now the pressure is on one of us to post it. So
I got the best job in sports.
Oh, yes, you do.
It's great. I got the best job in sports. I show up.
Anybody who can just show up and talk about baseball, sign me up. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. Leave your comments, concerns, and whatever else in the comment section. We will read them. And if we don't, we'll go back and see if we can find them the next time. So for Jeremy, I'm Jason. Till next time, have a good one.